Hello, my name's Tim Littlefair. I'm a software developer interested in communications, low-level communications protocols particularly. I've been doing some work for my own entertainment on software to interoperate with an amplifier supplied by Fender. It's a reasonably value-oriented amplifier available in Australia at the moment at or around the 400 Australian dollar mark. I've written some software to work with this amplifier. I'm going to demonstrate that in a short while, but before I demonstrate the software I've written, I thought I'd give you a short demonstration of the amplifier itself and where we're starting from. So here we go. This is the amplifier. It's a black box, about that size. Difficult to tell because it's on top of a desk here. It's in a slightly abnormal position because I wanted to be able to show you some stuff that's displayed in this area here. It's actually sitting with its loudspeaker face down towards the table so that this display area is up. Normally it would sit on the floor or maybe on a low table with this up, and you would operate it from above. I'm going to power the amplifier. Before I power the amplifier up, it's got this guitar going in through one pickup, and there's a foot switch going in through another pickup. The foot switch is not going to do anything interesting in this demo. So having switched the amplifier on, you can see a little blue light there. I'll probably try and blow that up a little bit when I edit this video to make it more visible. That blue area there shows you what preset is presently selected. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this video you possibly know what a modelling guitar amplifier is, but just in case, a modelling guitar amplifier is a guitar amplifier which contains the software capabilities to modify the input sound and simulate the behaviour of other amplifier designs, typically iconic analog amplifier designs and analog effect designs. This one's from Fender. It's called Fender Mustang LT40S. It's got stereo speakers, although they're pretty close together, and I don't know you'd ever get a useful stereo effect out of it. They put out a total of 40 watts of sound. I'm very happy with it for my use case. I'm not a great musician, I just mess around with guitars in my bedroom, and more often I actually mess around with computer software and don't practice the guitar enough to be a particularly good guitarist. So we have a preset selected at the moment. This is the default preset for the amplifier, which is called Fender Clean. The presets are numbered. This is preset number 1, Fender Clean. Okay, you already know, because you listen to that, I'm no great musician, especially when I don't decide what I'm going to play before I start. But that's the Fender Clean sound with a pretty simple 12-bar blues over the top of it. The amplifier comes with 30 presets, 30 additional slots that you can load extra presets in, and you can edit the 30 that came from the factory. It also comes with software which runs on the PC and macOS, which you can connect via USB. There's a USB connection just at that point down there in order to edit the presets. I'm going to give you a couple of other presets just so you get a feel for the range of sounds that you can get out of this amplifier. So, with apologies to the Beatles, this is a preset called Thrash Overkill. I'm going to turn this up because I think I can hear the strings more than I can hear the amplifier. Maybe not quite that much. Okay, more evidence that I'm not a musician, and that's fine. I quite like this. It's got some really great heavy sounds. This, if you like heavy sounds, I like very much like this one. Okay, this is a different one. It's a bit more sort of mellow, I suppose you could say. I'm gonna. It's called Vintage Tremolo. It's slot number 12. So, here we go. Okay, at that point I'm going to let Paul Simon go. That's a very pretty song of his called Night Game. I strongly recommend you listen to his version rather than mine. But that's Vintage Tremolo. Very nice sound. Now you can edit the presets on the device or in the software, but you can't really see what you're looking at, which I think as a software engineer and people who are not interested in software will forgive me at the moment if I now slip into a bit of jargon, but this is a project where I've been scratching my own itch. So I have frustrations about this. I love this piece of equipment, but it could be so much better. So it doesn't actually give you strong feedback about what's contributing to the sound you're making. I think that's the main thing. The other thing is it doesn't give you a backup of changes you've made. So I can actually edit, as I say, there's software I can use to edit the presets. I can also do it directly on the device. Bit fiddly, but I'll just show you quickly what that looks like. I won't touch Vintage Tremolo because I love it the way it is, but I have one here that is incorrectly called empty that I mess around with. So you press that button, you go into the edit mode, you twist the knob to move between 5 different parts of the preset. So the preset is a simulation itself. It consists of a chain of 5 different simulations, up to 5. There is always an amplifier, which is always the third middle item in the chain. There are potentially 2 other effects which run before the amplifier called stomp and mod, and 2 effects that run after the amplifier which are called delay and reverb. So I can, having twisted the knob to get the little blue highlight onto the amplifier, I can click on that, and it gives me a very small screen which shows me what settings are there. And in fact, I know, because I've looked at the internals, that there's actually quite a lot more settings than I can see on the screen at any one time. But you can see five here. I'm not sure how many you can see when you run it on the computer. So I think that concludes, for the moment, the demonstration of the capabilities of the LT40S amplifier. I'm going to stop this video now, and I'll restart it again when I've got the software I want to demonstrate up and running and connected, and we'll take it from there. Thank you. Hello again. I'm back to show you how the Mustang LT40S amplifier works with the software that I've written. The software I've written can run on Linux or a Mac computer. I don't develop it mostly directly on Windows, but it would probably be possible for me to make it work on Windows, and I probably will if a significant number of people want to use it that way. My vision for this is that it should be highly portable, so the default method of running it is on a Raspberry Pi device. This is a Raspberry Pi 4. It can also run on other 64-bit Pi devices, including the inexpensive Raspberry Pi 02W. You'll notice the one I've got here is in a fancy case, and it's got an LCD screen on the front, and we'll see what that does for us in a minute or two. I'm going to power it up. Powering it up is relatively straightforward. I need to connect up a power supply. I'm going to connect up a screen. That's optional. That's going to be that large screen TV over there. It'll just show the same picture as is on the LCD. So the LCD is optional, but it makes it very portable, and it means you don't need to find a screen in order to get the services of the screen. And there's a USB connection which is going to go to the Mustang. So I'm going to wire it up now. I'll turn the Mustang off before connecting it. Just going to put it there so that you can see. Got an inline power button so I can turn it on from the outside. Alright, so we can see on the TV that's the splash screen the Raspberry Pi automatically plays on its default screen. This screen was white and it's now black but not clear. Showing another Raspberry Pi splash screen. Takes a few seconds to oh, I should have turned the power on here. Okay, so now the Raspberry Pi is just coming up. I don't know if you noticed down there that little screen on the LT device went blue for a while. There was a message on there saying that it was connecting to Fender Tone. Fender Tone is the name of Fender's app for this, and my software is basically emulating that app. I've reverse engineered their protocol and I'm sending the same classes of commands that they do. So we've now got the Pi running and there's a screen on it which tells you in quite clear terms what is which preset is selected, and if I fiddle with this knob I can, in a couple of seconds it'll catch up. And you saw there it flashed a couple of times because it's a rotary knob, so it detected 2 or 3 of the other presets I passed through before I got the one I stopped at. So we've got a screen that's telling us the preset name, which is already available there, no big deal there. We've also got other stuff on here which is, I think, is useful. This is part of my motivation for doing the project. So in the previous video I talked about there being 5 simulations which make up the preset, and in the lower half of the screen, or lower, just a bit less than a third of the screen, you will see the names of the 5 for this 5 simulations in place. So there is, Fender refer to this as the audio chain. It starts at top left, goes over to top right, then goes backwards through the middle line, and then goes to bottom left and bottom right. So the 5 simulations that make up solo mid boost are a Mustang 5-band equalizer, pass through, which means there's that one's an empty simulation, there's nothing in the mod slot. So the first slot is stomp, which is the equalizer, pass through with nothing in the mod stomp. The amplifier is one called silver tone. The delay effect is tape delay, it's called tape delay light, and the last effect, which is the reverb effect, is small room reverb. I'll just twist to another. I don't know how clear that is going to be on the video in the grey area at the bottom. I'll try and point to, that is the top right of the grey area I'm talking about. Beg your pardon, top left. I've got a mirror image I'm looking at the moment. So I can twist to another random preset. This one's called Clean Delay. It's number 15. It'll come up in a minute. Okay, we got there. So you can hear there's quite a long delay on that one. So that one, the audio chain consists of a simple compressor, a chorus triangle in the mod position, an amplifier called a DR103, a delay module called tape delay light, that's the same as the previous one, and a reverb module called small room reverb, again the same as the previous one. Also on this screen you'll notice that there is a logo and the version number of the software in the top left corner of the screen. The LCD and the TV are displaying exactly the same thing, and there's a QR code on the top right and a URL which is written out. And if you browse, if this is on my local home wireless network, if I browse to that URL or I access that QR code with the camera in my iPad, I come to a web control interface which lets me send commands to the Raspberry, to the application running on the Raspberry Pi. Now, as I said earlier, my vision for this is that it should be highly portable. So normally you'd probably want to use this with a tablet on the same wireless network. In this case, my tablet is actually taking a picture of me at the moment, so I will show you that on a computer. I've actually already filled that URL in here, and it's a site can't be reached page at the moment because I filled it in before I powered that up. So if I reload it, I get a web page which is on this screen, but I'm also recording it, so that will be visible hopefully in the video in the area up there where there's nothing but blank wall. So this gives me a little bit more detail about what's going on. So it tells me in this area, gives me a description of the audio graph. It names the simulation modules, but as well as naming the simulation modules, it also gives a list of their parameters. And these parameters are expressed in the language that is used by Fender for describing these presets to the software. We'll take a little bit of a look at that in a minute. We've also got all of the presets here, and I can just select them in this. So I've got the rotary knob, and that, as I said when I was talking about it, the rotary knob's a little bit frustrating because if you're going a long way, it's a long way. So you have to spin through quite a lot of things to find the one you want, and if you don't know the numbers off by heart, it can be slow. On the other hand, you learn the numbers off by heart pretty quickly once you learn the ones you like. But this enables you to go straight to them. That's all of the ones that are there at the moment with the duplicates eliminated. So you'll see there's actually one called empty at 31. There's another one called empty at 60. They're not. That is the original empty preset, which is what you get in all of the slots that don't have a program, and that is the two effects before and two effects after also are all pass through, and the amplifier is called linear gain. And preset 60 is empty as well, but that's slightly different because I messed around with this one manually using the controls on the amp. This is so that one I'll put a step filter in the modulation position and an arena reverb in the reverb position. I'm not a guitar expert. I have this is not for listening to. I think you've probably picked up by now that you're not here for the music. Should I have been an expert, this data here, and particularly in the name, in the version of it we're going to see in a little minute, is basically a backup of that preset, which you can take offline. Fender software has the ability to back that up to a database in the cloud that they run, but it doesn't store it locally. There doesn't seem to be any way using the Fender software, well I say no way. The Fender software does not directly support saving copies of your presets locally. It's actually possible to do that by snooping the network traffic between the app and the over the USB link, which is how I developed this, but it's not possible to do directly. So that's the control interface. I've also got access to session files captured during the session. So this is going to be for my own purpose, for logging and debugging, but also every time I start a session, I capture a table of all the presets which are in the device at the time of the start. And if you're interested in a particular preset, this is actually Fender's internal description of the preset as consumed by the software. So you can see it's fairly long. Actually, there's not very much useful information after that point. Most of the useful information is up at the top here, where again we see the descriptions of the amplifier and its parameters and the different presets. And in this one, This one's a boring one, so I might go to one that's got something in the presets. So I'll go to that one, the random one I created myself, if I can find it. So there are the parameters associated with the step filter I turned on. There's the parameters associated with the arena reverb, and I didn't really mess around very much with the bass parameters from the amplifier. Okay, so I think that's really pretty much all I have to show you. Apart from the fact that one of the frustrations of working with Raspberry Pis is they don't actually have a power button. So you have to turn power off externally. I've actually got it set up on this one so that I can send, as well as being able to switch the preset on the send a command to the LT to switch a preset. Just select skate punk for a while, so it's interesting one that's only got an amplifier. Okay, enough of me. So I also have the ability to send a command to this device to shut itself down, and I'll just show you how that works. It shuts down. What you'll see is that screen will actually go white because the Raspberry Pi itself requires a signal on the input pins to really fully shut itself down, and I can't send that signal through any means while I've got this screen connected. So I now just switch it off like this with the external thing. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and apologies for my lack of musicianship. Bye.